Go ahead.
Okay. Any questions up front that you guys have about the building or anything that you wanted to ask, or you just want me to go ahead and do my thing?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Quite honestly, we don't really look too hard at the roof because you're a first level, there's a unit above you. But there are two places that I think you should pay attention to. One is the deck above here. There's no leaking there, but there's cracks in the stucco, and those usually manifest in the form of a leak at the ceiling over time. So next summer, when you're in here, if you get a lot of wind and rain, you could realistically see a little water stain, potentially, not 100%, but potentially, ceiling here or at your patio ceiling there. So when you see the repairs I have listed for the association, it's just to protect your property. And those would be like the cracks in the stucco here. There's definitely cracks on the outside at pretty much every wall on all three sides of your property. And then there's the discoloration in the ceiling at the closet at the front entry that I showed you when you first came in. And I believe that's from that kick-out flashing at that front patio roof. So that if it's not necessarily a roof inspection part, but that is part of the roof that affects you. So I looked at that, and that'll be in the report for them to maybe revisit so you can be protected in the future. All right. Then as far as plumbing goes, Renee already probably disclosed all the polybutylene information to you, so I'm going to have all the
I don't think I went over that yet.
No?
But I don't think so.
Well, sometimes she leaves it for me, sometimes, but she never misses a thing. Anyway, the polybutylene pipes were pretty common when this house was built, and they're probably in every building in this community. They're a great pipe that had a class action suit against it back in 1996. They don't use it anymore. And usually you have a hard time with insurance carriers insuring you. You can get it insured, but you might pay a little more for it in a single family home. When it comes to condos, I'm not 100% sure. Renee would actually know better than I, because she lives in a condo type of unit with this type of pipe. So I would ask her and then maybe defer to plumbers that you might talk to. But the problem with the pipes has been that they fail in two different ways potentially. It doesn't mean they all do, it means that they have, and it did it enough times for consumers to bring them to court, and they won a class action lawsuit back in '96 for this purpose. They leak at the joints, which is usually the plastic or copper joint fittings that they have, and sometimes the pipes do split over time. Most plumbing materials do have similar characteristics, it's just that they've not been scrutinized in a court of law. For example, copper has pinholes, CPVC gets brittle and it cracks. But if you had those two materials, we wouldn't be having a conversation right now. We're having a conversation because of the class action suit that happened about 20 years ago. All right, any questions on that? No, okay, that's easy. I'm going to include the leak at the tub. I'm going to assume it's from the tub drain, or there's actually a chip in the tub too that looks like it's rust, that there's rust there. So it could come from one or both of those things. The solution would be to replace the tub, obviously. And if you're going to replace the tub, you may want to consider remodeling that bathroom. If you haven't used it in 2 years, you might want to get your second bathroom in working condition for yourself. But because it's nice and spacious, it's a nice space in there, you can turn it into something really good. The other areas are going to be related to the tub, like the closet and the wetness at the bottom of that cabinet in the master. Okay, I also made little notes that'll make you kind of smile and chuckle, but I want you to know I paid attention to what I was doing. So if you read something that seems redundant or silly, like some areas need caulking or mold discoloration in the caulk, it's just because I want you to know we saw it. Okay, air conditioning was replaced in 2006. I don't know if you knew that or not. No, but your unit is from 2006, so it's 11 years old. It's cooling and heating. It is a Trane on the outside. And it is a Goodman on the inside. For the most part, it checks out fine, with the exception of a little bit of wetness inside the air handler cabinet. When you came in, you saw me messing around in there. Yeah. It was because I always look inside to see if there's any water, and it looks like the insulation on the inside is soaking up some water. So I'm going to have that in there as something that just gets checked out. It's not manifesting anywhere. It's not causing anything like on the floor or around the unit. But the fact that it's now happening means that Murphy's Law says, I don't write it up in 5 months, 4 months, 2 months, maybe you get a problem. So it's better to be safe than sorry. All right, so 2006, you probably have some life left on it, maybe 3 to 5 or 2 to 4, depending years. Most of them last around 15 to 20. It really depends on
the utility's been cleaned, or the utility's been cleaned, the outside unit.
The outside unit doesn't look like anything's been done to any of them, but it's been maintained. I can tell. You can tell by they have insulation at the AC line, the suction line, and that looks pretty good. Normally they're gone. They don't put them back. The only thing I would think you may want to do better is the condensation line just sitting right at the ground. So when you walk out there, I mean, they are literally like right here. Now, any dirt can obstruct that.
Yeah.
So you may want to get them to raise it up.
Paul, the thing you were talking about the soaking up of the insulation, soaking up that condensation, is that what we see when we see typical ACs with their condensation issues, or is that a little bit deeper?
No, I don't think it's deeper. I think it seems like the material is soaking it up for some reason. Maybe it's clogging up because of that condensation line outside. Maybe too much is sitting in the pan. Whatever it is, I think a good service will get it.
Right.
Get a little bit of dust at the coil. You get them to blow out the condensation line and raise it up a little. And I think that probably goes a long way. I mean,
So it's just kind of the standard stuff, more or less.
It's more maintenance than repair.
Okay.
But I don't like the fact that it's wet. Because,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually what happens if we're not careful. Something can happen, and then we feel guilty that we didn't mention it. Going through everything else, I mean, the electrical was my favorite part because I don't really have much in the way of electrical anything. I got two things. I do have one question. Right behind you, sir, on the outside, I think it's right there, there's this wire that comes out.
Yeah.
You know
I
about
have no idea. I've seen it, but I have no idea what it is.
it? Okay, we have to find out what that is and get that terminated right. It needs to go in a junction box or be removed because it could be connected to a switch somewhere and we don't know. Right now it's not, it doesn't feel like any current's going through it, but I can't be sure of where it goes. So I'm gonna have that in there as something to terminate. And then just a small repair. It's debatable as to whether or not you want to have it done because it is a small differential, but I've got a 25 amp breaker in the electrical panel for that condensing unit outside, and the maximum breaker on the label says 20. So it's like, it's obviously larger, but it's not that big of a deal, but it'll be in there for you to make a decision
Okay.
on what you want to do.
That could be a fire hazard then, right? It takes too long to trigger.
It,
25.
not with a 5 amp difference, I don't think. It's just, I would be more concerned about like, if there is anything left under warranty at this stage of the game, maybe that would be an excuse to not cover something.
Right.
I don't know. I don't see it as a big problem, but I do have it as it doesn't match what it says, so
Right.
it'll be in there, just for the sake of being in there. But overall, I mean, I think that it's a good, strong building. I mean, solid as a rock. You know.
So you didn't find anything with the plug for the dryer?
No, it didn't go on. I left it plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried. I thought maybe it might be the door. You know how the door has the safety on it?
Mm-hmm.
Thought it might be the door. It wasn't the door. I moved it around. I did what you did when you explained what you normally do. You hit it at the top. So I did the same thing you said you did and didn't do anything for me. But I put it in there because it's something that you've experienced that I couldn't get to reproduce. But it's done it for you. And that's why I did the tub the way I did. I mean, I would never have bought that had you not said to me to fill it up and wait. Right? So I trust you. You have no reason to tell me things that aren't true. So I went with your tub thing. We got that. And as far as the dryer, I'm gonna just recommend someone come and evaluate what your concern is, so that you can figure it out. Dishwasher seems to work, and I know that you already know about the appliances. The ice maker I don't think works, but
No, it doesn't.
kind of figured as much. I had a feeling you knew. Did we miss anything? Are we missing anything? The termite stuff we talked about already.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul.
Oh, thanks, man.